Welcome to the terrain break videos. Timer started. I like to do. I like to really kind of get into my terrains, and here's a project I'm working on, and you can see that essentially the site for this house is flat, except back here there's a retaining wall, and it retains about I don't know 3 foot of dirt, and then it slopes up to a level back here. And so how did I create that? And the point of this is I'm going to get to it, and that is talking about terrain breaks, the terrain break lines, and how it affects the model. Quickly to rehash how I do this. This is my terrain perimeter. I always set it at 0, 0 being finished floor level. I know Chief doesn't do this. Chief suggests a different method, but I think mine essentially gets the same thing. But instead of setting my terrain elevations to real world topo lines, I set everything to the house because I rarely get a topo map. But I know essentially how the terrain is set to the house. So that's what I do. So first of all, the perimeter is set to 0, U. Terrain pad elevation is 0. That's what I do. And then what I do is, since this is a slab, I know that the terrain is really 8 inches below the slab. And so here's a terrain elevation region. And I always check this interior is flat because I know that whole area is flat and it's at -8. So that drops the whole terrain down 8 inches. It dropped the whole terrain 8 inches. And in this particular case, I have interpolate tangent to edge. And I'm going to do something here, so I'm going to put it on pause. Okay, I'm talking about this terrain elevation region, and interior is flat. I just know it's going to be flat. And if this isn't checked, interpolate tangent to edge is not, you don't have that option. So I always have it. And now the question is do I interpolate tangent to edge? This is what Chief says that means. To check interpolate tangent to edge to flatten the terrain surface as it approaches the edge of the elevation region. I don't know what that means. I don't. And on some elevation regions, I check it, and some I don't. And I'll show you the difference. There's a difference, believe me. So then I have a retaining wall, and back here, these are my retaining walls right here, here. But they're not defined as terrain retaining walls, because I find that if they're checked as terrain retaining walls, they follow the top of that wall follows the slope, and so if the slope of the dirt is actually sloping down, the top of the retaining wall slopes too. And typically they're not sloped; they're 3. What I do with my terrain this is just simply a wall, and in elevation I modify the top and the bottom of the wall, and so when I change it, it's what it is. That's what it is. It stays there. That's what I'm getting at. And I always set this up at 8-inch modules. I don't even know if that's right. I wish I hadn't done that. Now it's all messed up, and I can't snap it to whatever. Can I snap it? It doesn't matter. So that's how I do that. So how do I get the terrain to break? Well, I use a terrain break line. And this right here is the terrain break line. See, line style, 400. There it is, a big, heavy red line right there. Let's change it to blue so you can see what I'm talking about. This is essentially a terrain retaining wall without the wall itself. That's the way I see it. Someone might tell me differently, but that's essentially a terrain wall without the wall. And then I with these terrain regions right here, terrain elevation regions, now I start to control the ground again. This is, I think these two are set at about 40 inches high, 40 inches above the perimeter, and then this one back here is set at I don't know, 17 foot or something. That kind of gets me to the top. And then you can see how the topo lines just kind of meld together. Now, let's take a look at how a few things affect this model. As I said, on this terrain, this region right here, interpolate tangent to edge. That's what I do. If I uncheck this, what happens? Let's see what happened. It looks like nothing really happened. I don't think anything really happened in this particular case. Playing around with this model, it did affect it in some way. But so in this case, I'm going to leave it interpolate tangential edge. I don't know. I'm just going to do it. But now watch some of these other terrain regions and what happens when I change these things. Watch this one here, I think. if I check this, what happens? Oh, nothing. Nothing too bad. I don't know. Sometimes I really have to have that checked, and sometimes I don't. I don't get why. I just don't. It's by heck and by golly. It just is. Let's try this one right here. I had this one. Let's uncheck this one, or let's check this one. See what happens. Nothing. Well, I think I get some jiggity jaggies here. I get this terrain right here. It's spilling up on the wall. I think that's what's happening there. If I uncheck it, watch this. I think it's going to be a nice clean break right there at the bottom of this wall. Yeah, now it's a nice clean break. All right, I don't get it. But now I want to talk about the terrain break, which is the whole point of this thing. And I had this outside of the perimeter, the terrain perimeter. I had this outside of the terrain perimeter. Now watch what happens when I just change this angle right here. Oh, did you just see what happened to this road right here? See how it dropped down? And so if this was a retaining wall, I think the retaining wall would do the same thing. But how do you control that retaining wall? That's not what I want the retaining wall to do. So that's why I use this thing, because now I can do this and watch this. It's flat. Suppose I pull this thing out like this. What happens? Nothing. How about if it's an angle just a little bit like this? Nothing again. Isn't that it? Oh, I know how this works, I think. Let me see if I can do this again. It's not doing it again. That's what I'm talking about. It's inconsistent. Suppose I do this. Yeah, it dropped. And why did that drop? I think this is sort of how it works. If I draw a line that's perpendicular to that, like this, I think that, yeah, see, I think that's what's happening. And so if you have, I think this sets out some vibes in a perpendicular direction to that line right there. So if I do this, it really straightens things up. See? Let's look at this other end over here. Look at this. This is something funny here. See this? See this? I don't really know how this goes. I don't know how it goes, but that's how it goes. I'm gonna just tweak. I'm gonna just tweak this terrain break a little bit. I'm gonna just see what happens. So this is very subtle stuff, and I don't have some really strong answers on it. Ah, you see what happened? It did this kind of a funny thing here. So I definitely did that in the wrong direction. Suppose I move it back like this. Oh, now that's not bad. See, it sort of slopes. I don't know. Is in reality this a bit of a retaining wall right in here? Let me see if I can make that parallel to that wall there. I don't know what I'm going to do here on this. Let's see. Pull it back like. So maybe that wall is a little bit retaining. Let's see what happens. Yeah. Oh, now that's not bad, is it? I mean, if that's the look you want. You see what just happened? And let's see, look on the other side. Oh, I get some kind of a funny thing there. And by the way, there's something with this tab U, and you can set the transition distance. Timer done. And that's the transition distance, and what that means is within 4 inches, this terrain break affects the topo. Suppose I change it to 120. Let's see what happens. Not much. I mean, I didn't see much happen. Did you? Should I really just take this terrain and tab? Should I pull it down to here maybe? I don't know. Does it kind of get rid of see that real shear wall that I got there? Ah, Now that's pretty good. Oh, but I got a big dip right there. I, I don't have perfect answers. I just don't. Okay, that's I guess that's what I'm sort of getting at. Now it's spilling around the wall, and I have that transition distance problem right there on this side. But on the other side, I bet it looks pretty good. Well, oh, well, that's a fence. See, that's a fence. That wall there that I have, it's a fence, and so I don't know really how they built this thing. I mean, I have a sort of an aerial. Anyway, but that's the point of this thing. I'm just talking about these terrain breaks and how it can affect it can affect. Oh boy, that's a mess, isn't it? How about if I do this? I don't know. 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 That's what I'm telling you. I don't know. I don't know why that spills out there a little bit. Let's just pull it right over to here. See if I can get. Why am I doing this? I don't know. So I really should pull this right to there. Let's see if that's sort of semi. Yeah, I guess that's. I don't know. Is that better? Yeah, I got a big hole right there. And that's because that fence is trying to climb. Oh, I know. How about you? If wall type structure, I think there's something in here where general rails, like rail style. Oh, follow terrain, step terrain. Let me see what happens here. Oh, check that out. You like that? I don't like that. That's not what really happened. So I don't want to step it. I don't know. If I stepped it, I don't even know what steps there are involved. There is it 4-inch steps, 4-foot steps, I don't know how they did it. So I want it to follow the terrain. And so really, I get involved in it. Where these things hit walls is always sort of a tricky situation. But anyway, the real point was, if you deal with retaining walls and you get those funny things that I just showed you, like how this thing affected that wall when I pull this down like this, and you look at the road on the right-hand side, see what it just dropped it down. That affected it, and I think it's sort of a perpendicular line to the end. I think it's a perpendicular line to the end. I don't, well, I don't know. Check that out. And anyway, that's the deal with these terrain breaks and stuff. You see how this thing bounces up and down. So one more time, I use terrain breaks because I think they're easier to manipulate with a terrain versus a terrain retaining wall. And I think terrain retaining wall really actually works the same way as this, but this just gives you more flexibility. And again, it's final note. Watch this. Watch. Let's see. Let me just let me see if I can change this a little bit. I don't know why I'm going to do this, but I'm going to do it. I think that might have changed my terrain. No, it didn't, because I had that as a terrain break. Oh, okay, yeah. So if I delete the terrain break, Control Save. Oh, what is this? Oh, boy. Before I really screw up my model. I don't think I screwed it up yet. No. I'm going to change it to junk 4. Okay, so this is the option. If you, I'm talking about junk now, right? If you get rid of this, That's what happens. And now if you, and to get that terrain break, and if I want to make this a terrain retaining wall, general retaining wall, watch what happens to this terrain wall. It's going to slope with the ground. Oh, no, it's a terrain wall, but I've got to default the top and bottom wall. Ain't that interesting? Yeah. Well, should I make this default terrain retaining wall? You guys know how this stuff slopes, I think. Yeah, there it is. Now you get this sloped wall right there. Is that what you want? I don't know. I don't know. I mean, and this one right here slopes a little bit, and you know, it gets sort of. How about this wall? Terrain retaining wall structure, default, which is when you build the terrain retaining wall, it's default at the top. Yeah, I don't know. It's whatever. Oh, this fence was fixed a little bit ago, sort of. Suppose I pull that fence just back, just to pull this fence over just a bit. Definitely disconnect the. Oh, now this one here is climbing up the wall a little bit. Oh, so I just get rid of this thing. Boop. Oh, it's gone. Yeah, so this is probably the way it was really built. Oh, now it's climbing again. I don't want to climb. So you got to hold it back a little bit. Is that what you have to do? Oh, here, this is. Oh, that's a wall. That's a wall. No wall there. Yeah, I don't want that thing. I don't want that thing to climb, but it's climbing. Want you to see that climb? Anyway, that's the end. That's the end.